Don't ask me why I was able to use my knife to stop his grab. For some stupid reason, the developers made it where you can only stop that grab if you knife him. If you try to use the pistol, the shotgun, the submachine gun, or any other gun, Krauser just never flinches. It has to be with a knife. I don't know why. It's so retarded. There's just no justification for that. And now we have to waste time with this time-consuming sequence. This is literally just padding. You do the same thing every single time, it might as well just be a loading screen. It's so repetitive. Like, at least in Resident Evil 4 OG, during this kind of sequence, you'd be rushing and Krauser would be chasing you, he'd be using different weapons. But because of how badly designed the mechanics are in Resident Evil 4 Remilk, they had to limit what Krauser could do. And while that is a good thing, it's still a dumb thing too, because it just makes this encounter even more soulless. I'm just glad I turned off the music and the dialogue, because they just do not fit this encounter whatsoever. They took such an iconic and mysterious figure with Krauser from Resident Evil 4 OG and turned him into a cliched war veteran spouting stupid lines. Another lunatic with a god complex, basically. Okay. Well, that doesn't matter. That is so retarded. The guy literally doesn't flinch from the shotgun or any other weapon. Like, how can people say, oh, it's due to his mutation that he's able to resist flinch animations? I mean, that is so retarded of a statement. This guy's like Eddie from Silent Hill 2. It's so retarded. And now for this stupid phase, the reason why you need the upgraded knife, because every other method I've tried to find just doesn't work properly. I'm amazed he didn't hit me with phantom range just then. I could have been easily killed. And well, that was all just luck right there. It might seem like that was due to skill, but it was literally because I got lucky with good detection on the parry, and with Krauser not doing stupid stuff. What a fucking appalling fight. I might have made it look simple just then, but that doesn't excuse the numerous problems with this encounter, or the dumb methodologies you have to adhere to. because of how badly designed this stupid encounter is. And all this artificial garbage, like with how Krauser's able to resist the shotgun and just spam evade like crazy and do all these like animation cancels. I mean, what I just demonstrated there with Phase 2 was just really retarded, but it's the best I've got. It uses a lot of shotgun ammo, but it allows you to save up on knife durability. It cuts out a lot of the bullshit with Krauser's AI problems. Believe me, guys, I have a lot of footage saved on my PS5 just showcasing the numerous problems with Krauser. I might as well just do a second part to my appalling, disgraceful designs of Krauser video. That's what it's come to at this point. There really isn't a point to discussing a lot of this right now because I'm already going to be elaborating on this in my retrospective, and I've reached Krauser's encounter, but I just don't know how I'm going to cohesively describe Resident Evil 4 OG Krauser and Resident Evil 4 Remilk Krauser properly, because it's just really hard to do, especially with the scale of my retrospective. Talking about the problems with Krauser's encounter in Resident Evil 4 Remilk through a retrospective is exceedingly difficult, because it's very hard to describe a lot of the problems that occur in the middle of the gameplay. If you want to call this gameplay, because this is just a fake encounter. I just find it hard to believe that you have to upgrade your knife in order to make this third phase bearable. Like, what is the whole point of upgrading the knife when I could just be buying a rocket launcher? If I have to come in here with the upgraded knife, why don't I just buy a rocket launcher? And the reason why I say you need the upgraded knife is because the numerous times you're trying to shoot Krauser after you kick him away after a deflection, you fire your bullets, your clip is empty, and then you have to run away and reload your weapons, and it takes a while to do, and Krauser's actively chasing you. He could be jumping right on top of you, he could be dashing towards you with certain moves, where he's just able to glide towards you in a stupid manner. Like, all sorts of problems like that, it's just ridiculous. And then the poor detection on the parry, his AI being really stupid, and like, if he's not facing in the correct direction, it really messes with your parry timing, because then he just pirouettes around, almost like this, and just attacks. And that can really mess with the parry's detection. I still can't believe I got this on the first try, just starting this recording. There's no way that should have been possible. I just cannot believe this is what they've reimagined Krauser into. It's so disgraceful. Like, Resident Evil 4 OG at least justified using the knife against Krauser, because not only was it a high damage weapon, but it stunned him. They actually conveyed through the gameplay the benefits of using the knife, but the knife doesn't even stun Krauser properly in Resident Evil 4 Remilk. And yet it's the only method I've found to make this more consistent and less awkward, because you're not having to run away and reload, but at the same time you're putting yourself at risk at dealing with the poor detection on the parries. Any AI garbage, any animation cancels, any moments where Krauser just immediately puts up his right arm and just immediately does the backhand, and I've saved so many clips like that. And Leon has no time to get away from Krauser's backhand because his movement is so sluggish. It's really dumb. And that's not even mentioning the numerous problems, like when Krauser goes up there and you're climbing the ladder for the first time, there could be moments where you just get stuck inside of this column right here, and you have to move out to one side before he actually jumps down and does his ground slam. That very, like, fantasy-esque slam. It's so anime-esque. It's so dumb. And I'm just amazed this platform doesn't break when he does that, yet the other platform does. I mean, this is literally just an anime encounter. It really feels anime. I just can't help but feel like New Capcom took inspiration from some other title like Street Fighter, because doesn't Street Fighter have characters that talk in such a quirky manner like Krauser? Isn't there like a major of some sort in Street Fighter? Because that's what Krauser literally reminds me of in Resident Evil 4 Remilk. And then his poor backstory. Like, there's no justification for why he hates Leon. If Leon wasn't in Operation Javier, and Leon wasn't in Operation Javier because Krauser mentions his entire unit was wiped out, and even that file you get just before Krauser's encounter mentions that, aside from the entire unit, only Krauser survived. If Leon was there, he would have been mentioned. There's no mention of BOWs, there's no mention of the T. Veronica virus, there's no mention of Manuela, and it just screws with the entire timeline. And then you have, like, the producer of Resident Evil 4 Remilk acting like, oh, Operation Javier and Darkside Chronicles, it's ambiguous whether it's canon or not. That's what he actually said in that stupid article that I cited on a community post. He said that to IGN, because he's trying to say, oh, Operation Javier is actually canon in Resident Evil 4 Remilk, or like, well, I think what he said was, Operation Javier happened, but the actual events that transpired, that's what you're not supposed to think about, because you want to be ambiguous like that. Yet, how the hell is Krauser going to be inspired by the supposed power of BOWs if he's never seen BOWs before? If Operation Javier is now just a random drug cartel mission, that, by the way, is very unrealistic with how the US government would handle a drug cartel mission, and he's never seen BOWs, what would make him seek out the Illuminados? And the Illuminados are based in Spain, which is nowhere near South America. How could he possibly find the Illuminados without Wesker if he's not working for Wesker in this Remilk? At least with Wesker's spy network and the fact that Ada intercepted that email from Luis, I could understand Krauser finding the Illuminados. And then the events of Operation Javier in the canon timeline, where he actually saw the power of BOWs, and then he was able to meet up with Wesker, because Wesker was in South America as Operation Javier was happening. And Krauser looked up classified documents on Wesker, and that's how he was able to eventually find Wesker. It makes so much more sense for Krauser to search for Wesker after seeing what he saw in Operation Javier in the canon timeline. And having the hatred for Leon. Leon was in Operation Javier in the canon timeline. And Leon's mentalities clashed with Krauser's beliefs on BOWs. And the fact that Krauser wasn't aware that Leon was on a secret mission and he wasn't debriefed on that. He felt inferior to Leon, or rather, he didn't understand why a rookie like Leon was getting special treatment, even though Krauser has been in the field longer than Leon and he's risked his life time and time again. Like, obviously that's going to manifest as a hatred towards Leon, but if Leon wasn't in Operation Javier, why does Krauser hate him so much? It makes no sense. And if Krauser was always an asshole in this Remilk, why should I even care about the supposed mentor-student relationship? I find it hard to believe that this raving lunatic was ever Leon's mentor. How the hell could Leon possibly get along with this guy? Was Krauser even a part of the top-secret government program that Leon describes in the introduction to Resident Evil 4 Remilk? And why the hell do they not describe Adam Benford? Adam Benford was the one that brought Leon into that top-secret program. Not to mention that Adam Benford talked a lot with Leon about the traumas he endured in Raccoon City, and Leon thought about pulling the trigger on himself, but Adam Benford consoled him a lot. And you'd think with this traumatized survivor card that they're playing with Leon in this pre-alpha, they would actually mention Adam Benford. If they're likely going to remake Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, or rather, remilk Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, why would they not mention Adam Benford, especially when he's the president during the events of Resident Evil 6? And another problem with this rewrite of Operation Javier is that how is Carla Redeems from Resident Evil 6 going to make the C-Virus? Because the C-Virus was made by an improved variant of the T. Veronica virus combined with the G-Virus. Carla obtained the G-Virus from Sherry Birkin when she was in US custody, and Carla obtained the T. Veronica virus from Manuela when she was in US custody as well. She got them from blood samples. So how on earth is New Capcom going to describe how the C-Virus is made now? They completely neglected that story point, and yet the producer of Resident Evil 4 Remilk forgot about this important story point when deciding to arbitrarily say that the canonicity of Operation Javier is ambiguous. What the fuck is wrong with him? How do you miss that kind of story point? Did they not look back at their own lore when they decided to rewrite Operation Javier into a completely pointless mission that has no reason to be detailed whatsoever in Resident Evil 4 Remilk? And here I was, excited at the possibility of them mentioning Operation Javier before this pre-alpha released, but it's for fuck all in the end. And did Leon even discuss his traumas in Raccoon City with Krauser? Because he said in the introduction that the punishing missions kept his mind off of everything, and I would imagine that he was being very private with his thoughts. If he was private, then most likely Leon wasn't the one that inspired Krauser to pursue BOWs. Why would they even mention BOWs if the missions that Leon was on in this Remilk have nothing to do with BOWs? And that's another thing as well. Why would the top secret government program be involved in the same missions as the regular US military? What's the whole point of putting Leon on these missions that have nothing to do with BOWs? How can you take advantage of Leon's first-hand experiences fighting BOWs if he's not going to be put on missions involving BOWs? And don't tell me for a second that that file you read just before Krauser's encounter is a fake, because they mention in the last page of that file, like from a different author, like someone who was actually looking over the file on Operation Javier created by this journalist. They said that this story will never be published. So clearly, if they're mentioning this story will never be published, then clearly Operation Javier happened exactly as the file describes. A random drug cartel mission gone bad just to make America look bad because they left Krauser's unit behind. They left Krauser and his unit behind to die. And somehow Krauser came to the revelation that the most important thing in this world is pure, unadulterated power. But how does the US government leaving his unit behind equate to power? Leaving a unit behind hardly equates to power. What power is he witnessing? That makes no sense at all. And something that I didn't mention in this video is that New Capcom already had a way of putting the US government under a bad light. The Raccoon City incident. Remember, guys, the US government was involved in the production of BOWs in the canon timeline because they were the first customer to Umbrella, and they unleashed that missile, that thermobaric missile on Raccoon City, and they eliminated 100,000 individuals. Not only to stop the spread of the T-virus and the G-virus, but also to cover up any evidence of their involvement with Umbrella. But in the Remilk timeline, the US government being involved with Umbrella isn't mentioned whatsoever. I don't know if it's meant to be implied or anything, but they don't even bring it up in Resident Evil 4 Remilk. They could have had an interesting way of having Krauser play mind games with Leon, and also to inform Krauser defecting to the Illuminados and having a hatred for the US government, like something like that. But instead, they chose to rewrite Operation Javier for some stupid reason, and it completely screws with Krauser's character, the dynamics between Leon and Krauser, and any future lore with the Resident Evil series in this Remilk timeline. Like, they didn't even consider all of that before rewriting Operation Javier. It is so stupid. Just to get this common point across that, oh, the US government is evil. Oh, they're questionable with their actions. Oh, they're always put under a bad light. I mean, it just makes no sense why they would do this. And also, what was Krauser doing after the events of Operation Javier before Resident Evil 4 Remake? Did he even fake his death? Because when he encounters Leon in Chapter 11, Leon's freezing and his shock doesn't seem to constitute Krauser faking his death. Like, Leon acts like Krauser was alive, like he somehow knew Krauser was alive, and he's like, Major Krauser, what the hell? Why? He doesn't say, I thought you were dead or anything. He phrases it like he thought Krauser was alive. So why did Krauser not fake his death? How did he even come back to the United States if the US government left him to die? I think the main reason why the US government killed off Krauser and his entire unit is to make sure that they didn't spill the beans on anything that happened during that drug cartel mission. Because, like, the real government does that. It costs a lot of money and time to monitor these individuals to make sure that they don't spill the beans on what they found during these top secret missions. So I'm guessing that's why they did it. The file that you get before this encounter says that, oh, the decision to leave Krauser and his unit behind was possibly due to a power struggle between the top brass of the US government, or it was due to some directive from the former president before President Graham. The secret directive thing. The directive is mentioned in Resident Evil: The Dark Side Chronicles. Adam Benford made it. In the event that Leon and Krauser would be captured, they would not negotiate with their captors. They mentioned this in a file on Operation Javier. If Adam Benford informed Leon and Krauser about this directive, about not saving them if they were captured, was Krauser informed? So then why would he therefore come to the conclusion that, oh, the most important thing in this world is pure unadulterated power? All I'll say is this rewrite of Operation Javier, this rewrite of Krauser, this rewrite of this relationship between Leon and Krauser, all the character dynamics are so screwed in this Remilk, and this is why this encounter is the biggest disgrace in the entire Resident Evil series. This is what I mean when I say they took such an iconic, mysterious figure that they set up in Resident Evil 4 OG and turned him into a raving lunatic with the most confused thought process ever. There is so much more that I've discussed in my retrospective, so I can't wait for you guys to hear everything that is wrong with Krauser and Operation Javier and the stupid Remilk. In that retrospective, I've just listed so much. But this has been Krauser's encounter. This has been lambasting the hell out of this disgraceful encounter, this disgraceful character, Leon being a totally pathetic character, and all the other messed up lore, calling out the producer for trying to make Operation Javier and Dark Side Chronicles seem ambiguous with its canonicity, because he's that stupid, and apparently doesn't understand his own lore very well. What an absolute joke. Thank you guys for watching, and you take care now.